Today's eMoney tip of the week is on how to use the estate planning tool inside Decision Center. If you've been using eMoney for a long time, you probably might still refer to this as the distribution center. It used to be a separate, when you went into there, and it was different than Decision Center. They made this change, I think it was a really wise change a few years ago, and brought in Decision Center. Decision Center is really the heart and soul of eMoney, and that's where you should be at most of the time when you're in front of your clients, because at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do, is help your clients make informed decisions using this tool. So we're going to hop right into this. So we're going to click on their plans, and you're going to click here under Decision Center. Once we're under Decision Center, you're going to notice there's a drop down over here, and we're going to click on estate planning. Again, how I got there is we're under plans for Decision Center. We're going to go to estate planning. Before I click on that, I just want to show you one little quick hack or one little feature. If you have a plan up already over here and you click into estate planning, it's going to automatically stay inside of that plan. So just a nice little feature if you're talking to a client about something, you want to show them the impact on Monte Carlo, then switch down to estate planning. That's kind of a nice little feature I like. So I'm going to put this back to base for X, but again, we're here in estate planning. So once you get estate planning, you're going to notice these tabs: net worth, Pamela's death, survivor income, James' death, and overview. Where I like to play at in here is overview. And what this overview is going to give you an overview of the estate. I typically like to click down here, zoom up here, to last death year, because I want to show them going forward. I'm going to put a little bit of caveat here. Have to understand that this is compounding at that high average rate of return. This is a linear. This does not allow you to Monte Carlo inside of here. So one of the major things you always want to do is put this into present value, because $13 million doesn't spend like it used to, and it's hard for people to understand that and calculate that. Most people speak in today's dollars, so I find that that's a little bit more palatable and useful. But I usually don't like to anchor clients too much in numbers because of what it does. So a lot of times what you might want to do here is you might want to create a linear. So what I did here is, if you see this, it's a flat rate. So all I did was a 5% flat rate. Oops, let's see what comes here. It's thinking. We had some storms where I live, and it's been a little bit difficult on the internet today. So you'll see right here, flat 5%, and that's going to anchor this. Now this particular plan, the way it's set up, going 5% allows the client to not survive till last year of death. But you can see what I mean by that. It's just a quick way to do that. I'll come back to that and explain why I do this from time to time. I'm going to be under base facts, and we're going to stay under state flowcharts last death year. And when you see down here, I click on these, you're going to notice you click on here, it's to give you more information about where these numbers are coming from, right? So what the portfolios that grown to that number. You're going to also notice taxes and expenses. Now, this is based upon a sample client that I don't have built out the same way I built out one of my other clients. So I would typically have probate and expenses. I would also have estate tax and inheritance tax for my estate. Most of my clients, about roughly 75% of them live in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have an inheritance tax. And then we can click on the heirs, and you can see it broken down to each individual heir and what they get. This is really great when clients want to see how much each individual child's going to get. This is also great if you do family planning meetings, like I do from time to time, while bringing the children and help them know what's going to happen with the client's financial plan. They can see that information right there. Now you'll notice these two boxes are exactly the same as these two boxes up here. So taxes and expenses is the same as total taxes and expenses. Why? So we go and pick out a different year when there's two people, and you can see right here that these are going to be different than what's down here. Depending on complexities of the estate, if you start to have some trusts, other things involved in it. This is a pretty simple estate right here, but that is going to be a really important number to look at, the overall versus each individual part of the estate. Also, if you have things that are outside the estate, they're going to typically show up in here. So for example, if we go to the net worth, you can see they have some out of state. This is their 2529 plans. A lot of times too, it can be a trust or something else they have that's outside the estate. The other feature I really like to share with you, so we're under estate planning here, we're under estate flowcharts, but I like to compare distributions. And so what you're going to notice is something else just popped up here. The base plan And what this allows you to do is to create two different areas. So if you have your base facts and you say Mr. and Mrs. Klein, if you do what I told you to do inside of here, we can notice that there can now be two different amounts. And what's nice is we can isolate some of these and we can turn these on and off inside of here. You can also compare two different plans that you build out as well too. We're going to go here to last death year, and you can see the delta or difference between what they would inherit over here versus what they would inherit over here, and it gives you a nice little spread. Problem, and again, I have some present value, so these numbers aren't that overinflated for the client to see, but the reality is it's showing that average rate of return that I don't think is reasonable. So what I'll typically do when I'm doing this, if I'm getting involved in this type of conversation with a client, and typically this might be a Roth strategy, or maybe it's a life insurance strategy, or a gifting strategy, and we're talking about the impact of the estate, right? What I will typically do is I'll build out one of these and I will put a 4% or a 3%, or a lot of times even a 0%, depending on the conversation I'm trying to have set up with the client, as the base. So I would go over here to base, and I would go to my flat rate, and I'm going to go down because the way this client's set up, the flat rate just destroys them. And then now we can go and I would take this plan over here, I would add a flat 5% to it, so that you're comparing apples to apples, because it is a linear, and I just don't want the client to see those amounts go up so high inside of here. We hope this tip helped educate and empower you to do more plans for your clients so that you can impact more lives through financial planning. If you have some great tips we don't know about, we'd love to hear about them. If you have a better way of doing what we just showed you, we'd love to hear about that, because we are a noble profession, and together we can elevate the profession.